Good morning. I am Dr. Vijaya, Professor and Head of the Department of Chemistry. First of all, I would like to thank the management, the principal for giving me this opportunity. The topic which I have chosen for this video lecture program is phase rule. Why I have chosen this topic? What is its significance? Why this topic has been incorporated in the first year engineering syllabus means it has got wide application in various fields. For example, in the reversible chemical reaction, solid ice equilibrium with liquid water in turn equilibrium with water vapor. In this simple reversible chemical reaction, the equilibrium between two different phases, any two phases, can be clearly explained by the application of this phase rule. So the first most important application of this phase rule is to explain the equilibria existing in a reversible equilibrium reaction. The second application is in metallurgy for the formation of alloy. In metallurgy, for the formation of alloy, a knowledge about suitable combination of metals, the percentage composition of metals, under what conditions, temperature and pressure, the different metals can be combined to form an alloy. All informations can be clearly obtained by the application of this phase rule. And similarly, in pharmaceutical science also, a clear idea about selection of substances as well as mixing of substances under various conditions can be explained clearly by the application of phase rule. So because of this wide applications in different areas, it is necessary for every chemical, civil engineering, mechanical engineering and any other branch students to have a knowledge about this phase rule. Therefore, discussion about this topic would be definitely an interesting one. I have chosen the first two systems, that is reversible equilibrium reaction and alloy formation, to apply the phase rule for my discussion. Before applying this phase rule to different systems, I want to give an idea about phase rule. What is phase rule? What is the terminology of phase rule? The phase rule was first introduced by the scientist Willard Gibbs. In the year 1874. He defined phase rule by means of the formula F is equal to C minus P plus 2. So this phase rule was first introduced by the scientist Willard Gibbs in the year 1874. He defined phase rule by means of the formula F is equal to C minus P plus 2. This phase rule can be applied only to a heterogeneous reversible system in which more than two phases are present. Then only the equilibrium between different phases can be explained by the application of this phase rule. In this phase rule, the different terms involved are: P denotes number of phases, C denotes number of components, and F denotes degrees of freedom. Let me explain one by one. What is phase? What is C? What is F? First one, phase. As I have already pointed out, this phase rule is applied only to a heterogeneous system where more than one phases are present. Means each phase in a heterogeneous system can be considered as a homogeneous part of that heterogeneous system. which is separated from other parts of the system by means of definite boundaries. Therefore, we say that in a heterogeneous system where more than one phases are present, each phase can be considered as a homogeneous part, and there is always a boundary between different phases. We can also count the actual number of phases present in a heterogeneous system based on their miscibility or solubility. In the case of gaseous phase, gaseous system, gaseous heterogeneous system, we find that all gases are completely miscible in all proportions. Therefore, gaseous heterogeneous system always constitute a single phase. Always constitute a single phase. In the liquid heterogeneous system, liquid heterogeneous system may constitute either one phase or more than one phase depending upon their miscibility. For example, in the case of alcohol and water, if you take alcohol and water, alcohol and water are completely miscible in all proportions. Therefore, these two constituents will constitute a single phase. Whereas benzene and water, these two constituents are completely immiscible in all proportions. Therefore, they constitute two separate phases. They constitute two separate phases. Whereas in the case of solid system, every solid always constitute separate phase. Every solid will constitute separate phase. Therefore, the first term which is involved in the phase rule is phase. It is denoted by the letter P. Phase is nothing but a homogeneous part of the heterogeneous system. And in order to count the number of actual phases present in the heterogeneous system, we consider the gaseous system, liquid system, solid system separately. In the case of gaseous system, all gases are completely miscible in all proportions. Therefore, they constitute only single phase. Whereas the liquid system, depending upon their miscibility or solubility, they may constitute either one phase or two phase. Whereas in the case of solid heterogeneous system, every solid constitutes a separate phase. Considering the simple example, CaCO3 giving CaO and CO2, in the simple reversible equilibrium reaction, calcium carbonate is a solid phase, calcium oxide is another solid phase, carbon dioxide is a gaseous phase. So considering this example, the actual number of phases present are totally 3, because two solids constitute separate phases along with this gaseous phase, means actual number of phases present are 3. Next is component. Component is denoted by the letter C. In the phase rule, component is defined by the term C. Once we count the number of phases present in the heterogeneous system, the chemical composition of each phase has to be calculated. Component is nothing but the chemical composition of each phase present in the heterogeneous system. It is defined as the smallest number of independent variable constituents by means of which the chemical composition of each phase can be expressed in terms of chemical equation. For example, if we consider the same example, solid ice, liquid water and water vapor, liquid water and water vapor, the chemical composition of all the available phases, this is solid and this is liquid, this is gaseous phase. If you look at the chemical composition of these three different phases, it is same, because solid ice is nothing but water, liquid water is also nothing but H2O, and water vapor is also H2O. Since the chemical composition of all the possible phases in a water system is only H2O, it is defined as one component system. It is defined as one component system. In some cases, the chemical composition of different possible phases may be different. Considering the same example, dissociation of calcium carbonate into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide, the chemical composition of calcium carbonate is given by the formula calcium oxide plus carbon dioxide, whereas this calcium oxide composition is given by the other two constituents, namely CaCO3 and CO2. Therefore, looking at these two examples, we conclude that in the case of water system, chemical composition of all the available phases is same. It is classified as one component system. Whereas in the case of dissociation of calcium carbonate into calcium oxide and carbon dioxide, chemical composition of each phase is expressed in terms of the other two phases. Therefore, this system is called as two component system. This is classified as two component system. Once from the so far discussion, we are able to count the number of phases present in the heterogeneous system as well as the chemical composition of each phase present in the heterogeneous system. Once we have an idea about the phase and component means, it is possible to calculate the degree of freedom, namely F. Degree of freedom, which is denoted by the letter F. Degree of freedom is denoted by the letter F. So once we calculate P and C component means, it is easy to calculate the value, namely F. F is nothing but the degrees of freedom. Degrees of freedom in the sense, they are the minimum number of factors, namely temperature, pressure, concentration, etc., which should be specified in order to explain the equilibrium existing between different phases. Based on this value, two values, F can be either 0 or it can be 1 or it can be 2. Accordingly, whenever this value, degree of freedom, becomes 0, it is classified as zero variant system. Whenever the degree of freedom becomes 1, it is classified as univariant system. Whenever the degree of freedom becomes 2, it is classified as bivariant system. So degree of freedom is defined as either zero variant or univariant or bivariant, depending upon its value, 0, 1 or 2. Okay. So we have got an idea, so far we have got an idea about what is phase rule, what are the different terms involved in the phase rule. They are the number of phases, number of components and degrees of freedom. From this discussion, I am going to apply this phase rule to the water system. So first discussion I am going to have is application of phase rule to the one component water system. One component water system. So before applying the phase rule to the one component water system, the possible phases already we have discussed as solid ice, liquid water and water vapor. out of these three phases, solid phase, liquid phase and gaseous phase, three possibilities are there. That means when P is equal to 1, that is when only one phase is present in the system in the absence of the other two phases, the phase rule becomes zero variant. The second possibility is when P is equal to 2. That means when any of the two phases are in equilibrium. When two phases are in equilibrium, the phase rule becomes univariant. And the third possibility is when P is equal to 3. That means when all the three phases are in equilibrium, the phase rule becomes univariant. Sorry, this is bivariant. அதை மட்டும் இது பண்ணிக்கலாம். Therefore, in the case of one component water system, three possibilities are when T is equal to 1, substituting the values in the phase rule, the value becomes 2, that is the system becomes bivariant. When P is equal to 2, that is when any of the two phases are in equilibrium, the value becomes 1, that is the system becomes univariant. When all the three phases are in equilibrium, the value becomes 0, that is zero variant. See, all these three possibilities can be explained clearly with the help of phase diagram. What is phase diagram? It is simply a graph drawn between two factors, any two factors, either pressure and temperature or temperature and composition. So TP diagram and TC phase diagram. TP phase diagram is a graph drawn between two factors, namely temperature and pressure. Therefore, this phase diagram can be applied only to one component system. Whereas the phase diagram can also be drawn between the other two factors, namely temperature and composition, means it is called as a TC phase diagram, and it can be applied only to a two-component system. As this water system is a one-component system, I am going to explain this water system with the help of the phase diagram, namely TP phase diagram. How to draw the phase diagram for this one component water system? This is a phase diagram. This is a phase diagram which has been drawn between the two factors, namely temperature and pressure. In this phase diagram, these three cases have been clearly mentioned. This phase diagram, in this phase diagram, the different areas are represented by AOB, COA and COB. Areas are represented by AOB, AOC and AOB, this BOC. These areas represent existence of single phases. For example, AOC. AOC explains the existence of single phase, namely solid phase. AOB explains the existence of the phase, namely liquid phase. BOC explains the existence of vapor phase. Within this single phase areas, the system is bivariant, because if you say that the vapor phase is stable at this particular point, means in order to explain this particular point, both factors are required. So in a two-dimensional diagram, if you want to explain a particular point, means the two factors are required to be mentioned. Therefore, the system becomes bivariant. So the areas explains the existence of single phases. Within these single phase areas, the system is bivariant, because in order to locate any point inside the area, both factors are required. The same has been proved by application of phase rule also. So if we say that inside the areas only one phase is existing, means the value of C is 1, because it is a one component system, and the number of phase existing is 2 is 1, means the value becomes 2. So the system becomes bivariant. Inside the single phase areas, the system becomes bivariant. Next is explained by means of boundary lines. Boundary lines explains the equilibrium between any two phases. For example, OA, OB, OC are the boundary lines which explains the equilibrium between any two phases. For example, OA is a boundary line which explains the equilibrium between solid and liquid. OB is a boundary line which explains the equilibrium between liquid and vapor. Similarly, OC is a boundary line explains the equilibrium between solid and vapor. Considering this boundary line, namely OA, the two phases solid and liquid are in equilibrium, means the two phases can be interchanged or interconverted at any point along the boundary line, or these two phases can be in equilibrium at any point along this boundary line. However, therefore, the system becomes univariant along the boundary line. So OA is a boundary line which explains the equilibrium between solid ice and liquid water. Solid ice and liquid water. The system is univariant. The system becomes univariant because in order to locate any point along the boundary line, any one factor is required. Suppose pressure is given, means the other factor, namely temperature, is automatically fixed just by drawing a vertical line. So the system becomes univariant. How it is also proved by applying the phase rule, F is equal to C minus P plus 2. C, number of phases in equilibrium are 2. Therefore, the system becomes univariant. The value becomes 1, means it is univariant. And this conversion or the equilibrium between solid and liquid is called as melting curve. The boundary line which explains the equilibrium between solid and liquid is called as melting curve. And see, by seeing this phase diagram, we understand that this boundary line OA is sloping towards this pressure axis, which means that the melting point of this solid ice is decreased by increasing the pressure. So only this boundary line is sloping towards the pressure axis. Okay. Next boundary line is OB. OB is a boundary line which explains the equilibrium between liquid and vapor, liquid water and water vapor, liquid water and water vapor. So the two phases in equilibrium along this boundary line OB are liquid water and water vapor. Liquid can be converted into water vapor or vapor can be converted into liquid water at any point along this boundary line OB. In order to locate any point along this boundary line, any one factor is required, either temperature or pressure. If for a given value of one factor, the other value is automatically fixed. Therefore, here also the system is univariant, which is also proved by applying the phase rule. Here also the system becomes univariant. And this equilibrium reaction between liquid water and water vapor is explained by means of this curve, namely vaporization curve. This boundary line is called as vaporization curve. Next boundary line is OC. OC. Similar to OA and OB, OC is a boundary line explaining the equilibrium between solid ice and water vapor. Solid ice and water vapor. Solid ice and water vapor are in equilibrium at any point along the boundary line OC. Or solid ice can be converted into water vapor. Water vapor can be converted into solid ice at any point along the boundary line OC. Along this boundary line also the system becomes univariant. By applying the phase rule also the system becomes univariant. Okay. Seeing this boundary line OB, it has got a maximum upper limit of about 374 degrees centigrade. OB is having a maximum upper limit of about 374 degree centigrade, which means that liquid water and water vapor can be in equilibrium up to the temperature 374 degrees centigrade. Above this temperature, the two phases cannot be in equilibrium. So this temperature is called as critical temperature or maximum limit of this vaporization curve. And OC boundary line is also becomes univariant where the process taking place is sublimation. So the boundary line OC is called as sublimation curve. Along this boundary line also the system becomes univariant. Next is point O. At the point O, all the three phases, namely solid ice, liquid water and water vapor, are in equilibrium. So at the point O, solid ice, liquid water and water vapor, all the three phases are meeting at a particular point O where they are in equilibrium, means the system becomes zero variant at this point. The system becomes zero variant at this point O, because while applying this phase rule, it is a one component system, number of phases in equilibrium are 3, therefore the system becomes 0. It is a zero variant system. Therefore, in a one component water system, the point at which all the three phases are in equilibrium is called as triple point. This point is called as triple point. Corresponding to this point O, the two factors, namely pressure and temperature, are fixed values. For example, the pressure value is 4.58 millimeter pressure and the temperature is around 0.0075 degree. So this pressure and temperature are called as triple point pressure and temperature. So pressure value corresponding to this triple point is about 4.58 millimeter and the temperature value at this point is around 0.0075. So this point is called as triple point. Again, this dotted line OC dash is explained by means of a particular system, namely metastable system. Metastable system. What is metastable system? See, we say that the freezing point of water is only 0 degree. However, if the vessel containing liquid water is clean and free from dust particles, means it is possible to cool water below 0 degree, and that water is called as supercooled water. It is called as supercooled water. So along this dotted line OC dash, the two phases in equilibrium are supercooled water and water vapor. Along this boundary line also the system becomes univariant. Okay. So far we have discussed about this one component water system. One component water system is the system in which the chemical composition of all the possible phases is only H2O. Three cases are possible when only one phase is present in the heterogeneous system, or any two phases can be in equilibrium, or all the three phases can be in equilibrium. Accordingly, the system will become either bivariant, univariant or zero variant system. All these three cases are clearly explained with the help of a phase diagram, which is nothing but a graph drawn between two parameters, namely temperature and pressure. Here in this phase diagram, the three cases are clearly explained by means of areas, boundary lines and the point O, namely triple point. Areas explains the existence of single phases where the system becomes bivariant. Boundary lines are the lines, namely melting curve, vaporization curve and sublimation curve, along which any two phases are in equilibrium and the system becomes univariant. The third possibility is when all the three phases are in equilibrium at a particular point, that point is classified as a triple point where the system becomes zero variant. Along with this, the dotted line OC dash explains the metastable system where the two phases in equilibrium are supercooled water and water vapor. Then next is, I am going to apply the same phase rule to the next system, namely binary alloy system. Application of phase rule to binary alloy system. Application of phase rule to binary alloy system. Alloy we know very well, mixing of two or more than two metals. Binary alloy means mixing of only two metals, namely A plus B. A is one metal and B is another metal. Whenever we mix any two metals to form an alloy, only two phases are possible. That means alloy formed in one state, that is liquid state can be converted into the solid state. Alloy formed in one state can be converted into solid on crystallization or on cooling. Therefore, what about this gaseous phase means it is completely absent. Therefore, whenever we form an alloy by choosing any two metals, there are only solid and liquid phases, and gaseous phase is completely absent means effect of pressure is nil. Effect of pressure on such a system, effect of pressure on such a system is nil. Therefore, all the reactions are carried out under atmospheric pressure. That means keeping the pressure constant, this alloy formation can be carried out by choosing any two metals. Since the pressure is kept constant and it has no effect on this system, the phase rule will be reduced to F is equal to C minus P plus 1. This phase rule is called as reduced phase rule. We know that the general phase rule is defined as F is equal to C minus P plus 2. But in the case of binary alloy system, as there is no gaseous phase and pressure has no effect, it has reduced the phase rule to F is equal to C minus P plus 1 means this phase rule only can be applied to the binary alloy formation. And this particular system is called as condensed system. Condensed system. That means the binary alloy system where gaseous phase is completely absent is called as condensed system. Okay, fine. So when we mix these two metals, any two metals, four possibilities are there. What are they? First possibility is these two metals can result in the eutectic formation. Eutectic. And the second possibility is compound formation with congruent melting point. Compound formation with congruent melting point. With congruent melting point. The third possibility is compound formation with incongruent melting point. Incongruent melting point. Fourth possibility is formation of solid solutions. Formation of solid solutions. Therefore, whenever we mix any two metals, four possibilities are there. Either they can result in the formation of eutectic mixture, or they can result in the compound formation with congruent melting point, or else compound formed with incongruent melting point, or else formation of solid solution. What is eutectic formation or formation of eutectic mixture? When we mix these two metals, they are completely miscible only in the liquid state, but they are insoluble in the solid phase. And the mixture which is having the lowest melting temperature is called as eutectic mixture. Next is compound formation with congruent melting point. In this case, the two metals combined can result in the formation of a compound with different proportion. One or more compounds can be produced with different proportions. Of the compounds, a compound is said to possess congruent melting point if it melts exactly into a liquid having the same composition as that of the solid. Therefore, compound formed in one state, solid, on conversion into liquid, the chemical composition will not differ. Whereas in the case of compound formation with incongruent melting point, the compound formation, one or more compounds may be formed with different proportions. Of the different compounds, a compound is said to possess incongruent melting point if it melts exactly into a liquid having different composition as that of the solid. Therefore, compound formed in two different states, solid and liquid states, will not have the same percentage composition of individual metals. That is what the difference between compound formation with congruent melting point and compound formation with incongruent melting point. What is formation of solid solutions means? When you mix these two metals, we say that the two metals are completely miscible in the liquid state and not in the solid state, means that is called as eutectic mixture, formation of eutectic mixture. But if those two metals are completely miscible in both liquid and solid state means they will result in the formation of solid solutions. But the formation of solid solutions will take place only in the level of atomic level, because the radius of the metals or atoms should not differ by more than 15%. Then only the two metals can be miscible in both solid and the liquid phases. Okay. So out of these four possibilities, I am going to apply the phase rule, particularly the reduced phase rule to the eutectic formation and compound formation with congruent melting point. So, eutectic system. The best example for this eutectic system is lead and silver. Lead and silver. So when these two metals, lead and silver, are mixed in proper proportion, they may be miscible completely in the liquid state but not in the solid phase. And however, the percentage, actual percentage of these two metals, under what conditions, temperature and pressure, these two metals can be joined, all can be clearly understood with the help of the phase diagram. Phase diagram. How to draw the phase diagram? As I have already pointed out, this system, eutectic system, is a two-component binary alloy system. Why it is called as a two-component system means the two metals, lead and silver, are resulting in the formation of alloy, means the alloy formed in one state can be converted into another state, either from liquid to solid or solid to liquid, means the chemical composition of each phase. For example, alloy can be expressed in terms of lead and silver, or the percentage composition of lead can be obtained from the other two constituents, namely alloy and this silver. So only this eutectic system is called as a two-component system. Alloy system is called as a two-component system. And for this two-component system, we can draw the phase diagram by between two different factors, namely temperature and composition. So this phase diagram is called as TC phase diagram. TC phase diagram. Binary alloy system is a two-component system for which the phase diagram can be drawn between the two factors, namely composition and temperature. this is the phase diagram which is applied to this lead silver binary alloy formation. So this phase diagram has been drawn between two factors, namely temperature and composition. Here is the 100% lead and here is 100% silver, and corresponding to this point 2.6% of silver and 97.4% of lead. Okay. So we are going to apply this phase rule, reduced phase rule, to this binary alloy formed from the two metals, namely lead and silver, with the help of a suitable phase diagram which is drawn between two factors, namely temperature and composition. See here in the phase diagram, point A represents the melting point of pure lead. Point B represents the melting point of pure silver. We can start this alloy formation either with the sample of silver or with the sample of lead. If we start with the sample of silver, the melting point of silver is around 961 degrees centigrade. By adding lead to silver, the melting point of silver gradually falls along the curve BO. So the curve BO is the freezing point depression of pure silver by the successive addition of lead. Therefore, the two phases in equilibrium along the line BO are solid silver and solution, nothing but the melt, mixing of lead and silver. If we start the alloy formation with the sample of lead, means melting point of lead is denoted by the point A. It is around 327 degrees centigrade. By adding silver to lead, melting point of lead decreases gradually along the boundary line AO. So AO is the freezing point depression of lead by the successive addition of silver to lead. So the two phases in equilibrium along the line AO are solid lead and solution. At the point O, the three phases in equilibrium are solid lead, solid silver and solution. Similar to the one component water system, the system becomes univariant along the line BO and AO. However, at the point AO, the system becomes zero variant. How it is? Means by the application of reduced phase rule. So let us consider the first boundary line, namely OB. OB is the freezing point curve of pure silver, whose melting point is around 961 degrees centigrade. Therefore, the two phases in equilibrium are solid silver and solution. Solid silver and solution. The two phases in equilibrium along the line BO are solid silver and solution, because we are adding lead to silver, by means of which the melting point of silver is gradually decreasing along the boundary line BO, and the two phases in equilibrium are solid silver and solution. By applying the reduced phase rule to this boundary line, the value of C is 2, because it is a two component system. Number of phases in equilibrium are 2. Therefore, here also the system becomes univariant. So whenever there is a boundary line separating two phases or explaining the equilibrium between any two phases, the system is always becomes univariant system. Next, OA. OA is the freezing curve of pure lead. Melting point of pure lead is 327 degree. By adding silver to lead, melting point gradually decreases along the curve AO. So the two phases in equilibrium are solid lead and solution. solution. The two phases in equilibrium are solid, lead and solution. Here also the system becomes univariant. Okay. These two boundary lines meet at a particular point O, where three phases, namely solid lead, solid silver and solution are in equilibrium. So solid silver, solid lead and solution are in equilibrium. By applying the reduced phase rule to this point O, the system becomes zero variant system, because corresponding to the point O, we need not specify any pressure, any temperature value or composition. Both values are fixed values. For example, the temperature corresponding to the point O is 303 degree and the percentage composition of the two different metals are 2.6% of silver and 97.4% of lead. This temperature 303 degree is called as eutectic temperature, and this percentage composition is called as eutectic composition. So corresponding to the point O, eutectic temperature is 303 degree and the eutectic composition is called as about 2.6% of silver and 97.4% of lead. Therefore, the point O is called as eutectic point. Point O is called as eutectic point, where the system becomes zero variant. Okay. So this lead silver binary alloy system is explained by means of the phase diagram, namely TC phase diagram, where the two boundary lines AO and BO explains equilibrium between two phases, either solid silver and solution or solid lead and solution. So whenever we start for forming an alloy, either with a sample of lead or silver, both of them will meet at a particular point O, where all the three phases are in equilibrium. Therefore, the system becomes zero variant at the point O, means the two factors, namely temperature and composition, are fixed values. Therefore, we say that the suitable composition for this lead silver binary alloy formation is 2.6% of silver and 97.4% of lead. Below this point O, solidification starts because we reduce the temperature. So once we reduce the temperature, means below the point O, crystallization starts or solidification starts. Therefore, we get two phases, namely solid lead and eutectic, and solid silver and eutectic. See, this point is called as eutectic point. Why it is called as eutectic point means the mixture or the combination of these two metals, lead and silver, which is having the lowest melting temperature. So this the lowest melting temperature corresponding to this point is referred to the eutectic mixture, and eutectic temperature means the system, the entire system at this point is referred as eutectic system. Anyhow, the area above this boundary lines or the topmost part of this phase diagram always refers to the liquid phase, which is nothing but melt. So above the phase diagram there is the existence of only liquid phase, whereas below the boundary lines we have the solid phases along with the eutectic mixture. Okay. The main application of this phase diagram, lead silver phase diagram, is the Pattinson's process of desilverization of lead. Pattinson's process of desilverization of lead. Desilverization of lead. Main application of this phase diagram is Parkinson's process of desilverization of lead. It is nothing but desilverization. That means separation of silver. So if we want to separate, whenever this lead is available in nature, it always contains little percentage of silver. Therefore, that silver can be separated from lead by means of a simple procedure. Consider the point P. This point refers to lead containing very little amount of silver, and this mixture is heated to a temperature more than its higher than its melting temperature, so that system will be completely in the liquid state. From the point O, if we cool gradually, the temperature falls, and up to the point Q, there is no change at all. However, once the point Q is reached, there is a separation of lead, and the mixture will rich in silver only. So as soon as the point Q is reached, there is a separation of lead, and separation of lead continues up to the point O. So along the line QO, there will be a complete separation of lead from the mixture of lead and silver. So we have considered the point O, where we have taken mixture of lead and silver. When this mixture is cooled gradually from the liquid state to solid state, there is no change up to the point Q is reached. But once this point Q is reached, there is a separation of lead from the mixture, and it will continue up to the point Q. So along the line QO, there is a complete separation of lead from the mixture. So this process is called as desilverization of lead. It was first introduced by the scientist Parkinson, and accordingly it is named as Parkinson's process of desilverization of lead. So from the so far discussion, we conclude that application of phase rule to one component water system and binary alloy system is very much useful for the engineers. From my discussion, I conclude that the phase rule is very much applicable to the one component water system and the binary alloy system. Particularly in the case of alloy formation, we fix the percentage composition of the two different metals, and also the stability temperature of the alloy formed both in the solid state and liquid state. Once again, thank you. Once again, I thank the management and principal for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.